Okay, really quick before we start, Lewis, where do we
Yes.
find the application for
I'm
next?
going to email those to you because that's one of the topics that we're going to talk about today. All right. So, can we? Are we all here? Do we have a quorum? 2, 3. See, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we need one more person, one more youth, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah. So Corey, whenever you are ready.
All right. I call this meeting to order at 6:33 p.m., May 6th, 2021. Can I get a roll call?
You sure can. All right, we're going to start. Commissioner Branch.
Present.
Commissioner Gray.
Present.
Vice Chair Lee.
Present.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Present.
Okay, Commissioner Rosales. Not here, not present. Commissioner Ganis.
Present.
Commissioner Au. No. Commissioner Manzano. Absent. Commissioner Aplaka.
Present.
And Commissioner Searing.
Present.
Adult member Gabbett.
Here. Here.
And adult member Stover.
Present.
All right, then we're good to go.
Okay. Salute to the flag. Commissioner Schaefer, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, there's a flag on the computer, so we could do it there.
Okay. I guess you don't have to rise. Oh, okay. Okay. Please rise. Okay. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. All right, thank you.
Approve order of agenda. Blue folder items, additional backup materials. Blue folder items are additional backup material to administrative reports and or public comments received after the printing and distribution of the agenda packet for receive and file. Do we have any blue folder items?
No, we don't.
Consent calendar. Business items, except those formally noticed for public hearing or discussion, are assigned to the consent calendar. The commission members may request that any consent calendar items be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken under the excluded consent calendar section below. Those items remaining on the consent calendar will be approved in one motion following oral communications. Affidavit of posting. Do we need to approve?
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, you can do both, all of them in one shot if you want.
Okay. Affidavit of posting. Approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar items?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gray.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Lee. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. All right, the motion passes. Excluded consent calendar items. Seeing none, moving on. Public participation on non-agenda items. This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on this agenda for action. This section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Written requests, if any, will be considered first under this section. Public participation on non-agenda items. Do we have any?
Okay, so you know what? We do have someone registered by the name of Emery Chen. I'm going to allow that individual to speak. I don't know if they're interested in speaking on this item, but I will give you the opportunity to answer. So Emery, I'm going to allow you to talk and just please let us know if you want to.
Katira? He's one of the they're doing the presentation.
Emery is doing the presentation. Okay, for what item?
For item J.
Okay.
The presentation by Beach Cities Health District.
Okay, so right now they're logged on as an attendee, so they won't be able to share their screen until I promote them to a panelist. So is that okay for me to do right now?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so there are no e-comments for this item, so there are no public comments for non-agenda items.
Yeah, so we can continue, Corey.
Seeing none, moving on. Items continued from previous agendas. Seeing none, moving on. Items for discussion prior to action. Presentation by BCHD Youth Advisory Council. Staff recommends that the Youth Commission receive and file the presentation by the BCHD Youth Advisory Council on mental health awareness and related activities. Do we need a motion to receive and file this presentation?
Yes.
All right. Can I get a motion to receive and file this presentation?
Motion.
Motion by Vice Chair Lee. Can I get a second? Second by, was that Commissioner Ganis?
Commissioner Oplaka.
Oh, Commissioner Oplaka. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
All right.
Moved. And welcome, Emery. I'd like to welcome you to our Youth Commission Zoom meeting here.
Hello, everyone. Yep.
Okay, there you are.
How
All right. Oh, that's
How's
pretty
everyone
cool.
doing?
Background. That's pretty awesome.
Courtesy of our communications department.
All right. Cool.
How's everyone doing? I'm not quite sure if one of our leadership students, Alex Jeffords, is.
Did you get him the link?
I did.
Get the link? Okay. Yeah,
So
it doesn't.
I'm not sure if,
He's logged on yet.
okay, it's all right. I could go ahead and
Tell us about your youth advisory. I'm sorry. You want to tell us about your advisory council a little bit while he logs on, or
Sure, sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Emery Chen. I am the Youth Services Manager at Beach Cities Health District. Beach City Health District's Youth Advisory Council is comprised of about, I'd say, 85 middle and high school students, grades 8 through 12. So, similar demographic as this group here, from Hermosa, Manhattan, and Redondo Beach schools. The Youth Advisory Council is a youth-led committee focusing on health, well-being, and specifically here in the Beach Cities. I'd say some of the main areas of focus, the Youth Advisory Council members act as ambassadors of health, connecting their fellow peers with resources, events, information. We definitely raise awareness and offer recommendations on health issues specifically affecting the Beach Cities youth, including alcohol, other drug use, smoking, vaping, marijuana, mental health, which, based on the timing of this time of year with mental health awareness, anything from stress, anxiety, depression, social justice, and even race and equity issues. We do a number of projects throughout the year. We also, take opportunities to present at conferences when we can. We recently presented at a MAD event as well as the 2B Youth Conference. Alex, who I hope will be able to join us, is a part of our leadership team, which is, these specific leadership positions. They apply each year and, represent different segments of the Youth Advisory Council, from public speaking leads to communication leads, and they're involved with all our projects. Now, I think that Lewis had kind of specifically wanted us to, be able to come in and just kind of speak on some of the things that we've been doing lately. And I was hoping that Alex was here, but I'm not quite sure if he is. Could someone?
Yeah, do you have his email address, Emery? We can send him an invite right now.
Okay, let me pull that up. And then
Okay.
His email is, one second, because I sent him the link from the one that you sent me.
Right.
It's Alex, Alex Jeffords 08@gmail.com.
Okay, Katir's going to send him the invite right now. See if he.
Could you just repeat the last name, please?
Oh, Jeffords, Jeffords.
Okay.
But even in the meantime, we recently, as a Youth Advisory Council, created a photo voice project specifically targeting kind of the issue of, alcohol here in the Beach Cities. How it specifically relates to May and Mental Health Awareness Month, of course, is just the idea about appropriate coping skills and also just the existence of substances that may be in our own backyard. And this was a youth-led project and translated over to a video project that we ended up presenting at our coalition meeting, which happens twice a year. And also we've taken an opportunity to take this photo voice project to other spaces. For example, the Tupi conference, which we had two of our Youth Advisory Council members present to other peers and participants of the conference. And I wanted to actually share that with you if there's time. It's a 15-minute photo voice video presentation, if that would be okay.
Yeah, that'd be appropriate. Yeah. I guess Alex to talk with us, to join us. He will join us, but in the meantime, we can start the video if you'd like.
Sure. So do I have privileges to share screen?
Yes, you do.
Okay, great. Please excuse, hopefully this works. Can you all see the screen here?
Yeah.
Okay. One second.
Is that loud enough, or?
You may have to share your computer sound as well.
I'm sorry.
Is it? Yeah, we just can't hear the sound.
Okay. Is there a way? My apologies. Okay, there you go. I have it now. Thank you.
We're here today to present to you the Beach Cities Health District Youth Advisory Council's photo voice presentation focused on alcohol use in the Beach Cities. The following statistics, photos, and testimonials were gathered and compiled by students. We collaborated and brainstormed the content throughout Youth Advisory Council meetings and also throughout the breakout sessions. The Youth Advisory Council is made up of middle and high school students from grades 8 through 12, and the council is youth-led with support from BCHD staff. The members act as ambassadors of health by connecting peers with resources, events, and information. We also raise awareness of and offer recommendations on health issues affecting Beach Cities youth, including alcohol and other drug use, smoking, vaping, marijuana, stress, anxiety, depression, suicide, social justice, race, healthy equity, and sexual identity to discuss prevalent trends and solutions.
Alcohol use in the Beach Cities. This is a survey from the 2018 to 2019 California Healthy Kids Survey. As you can see in middle school, while the numbers were low, as you get into high school, the numbers start increasing. And by 11th grade, the number of youth who have used alcohol or drugs in the past 30 days have even surpassed nationwide statistics. And a major contribution to this factor is binge drinking. Binge drinking is the obsessively drinking alcohol with the intention of getting drunk, and it's usually within a short period of time. Teens nowadays don't know the effects of alcohol, and they just see one sip as too little, so they drink more and more until eventually they start binge drinking.
Alrighty, let's jump straight into the facts. About 58% of teens have had at least one drink. Additionally, 29% of high schoolers drink alcohol within the past 30 days. This might not sound too alarming, but 4.2 million young people reported binge drinking at least once in the past month. That could be once, twice, 3 times, who knows. But what we do know is 861,000 young people reported binge drinking on 5 or more days over the past month. Binge drinking is much more severe than just a sip. Now you're probably wondering why teen alcohol use is so widespread. As a counselor, we put our heads together virtually via breakout rooms on Zoom and had many discussions about this. We've concluded that this is due to home environment and easy access. Students highlighted home environment as an area of focus due to the impact that interpersonal relationships and role modeling have had on personal beliefs around alcohol use, in addition to the home environment being more prominent this year during the pandemic. Secondly, we have easy access. With online delivery services and social media being very prominent, it's very easy for teens to get alcohol delivered to their house through these little tiny devices.
So as Hazel previously mentioned, one of our topics was the home environment, and this kind of revolves around usage of alcohol by parents and other grown-ups within the house, as well as the openness of alcohol within the house. So these are some photos taken by members on the council that show the accessibility of alcohol within the home. Some of our notes taken from breakout sessions actually show that because we're at home and we don't have regular outlets like school or maybe a lack of supervision, that it's easier for students to turn to alcohol, even more so now that it's left around by parents.
Students in the beach cities have very easy access to alcohol. In 2018, among 12 to 14-year-olds who reported that they drank alcohol in the past month, 96.4% reported that they got it for free the last time they drank. Students in high school also say that it's very easy to obtain alcohol, with 34% of 9th graders and 52% of 11th graders claiming that it's extremely easy.
Historically, people have accessed alcohol via brick-and-mortar stores such as liquor stores, gas stations, and Costco. But now, people use online services rather than the typical in-store interactions everybody had come to know. There's easy access to alcohol through online delivery services and apps. Many youth find that when they wear a face covering and possibly a hat or sunglasses too, they are able to hide their age and identity easily when receiving items delivered to their home, especially with the popularity of no-contact delivery. As far as ID and age verification go, youth are able to use parents' IDs or other family members to complete the online purchase. Youth have shared that it is very easy to access a fake ID if needed through online resources and social media, in particular where people promote selling and accessibility on their Instagram stories and on Snapchat. Another problem is the hiding of alcohol. Youth have many ways to hide and store alcohol, including hygiene products that are sold for the specific purpose of hiding alcohol. In this video, the person is browsing the Postmates website. They simply searched alcohol, and hundreds of results came up. They then proceed to scroll down on the seemingly infinite options of alcohol. They select an alcohol at random and then proceed to check it out. It is then exposed that there is no requirement for age verification or ID. You must only confirm the item you selected and the item you want, and then confirm your payment.
Social media during COVID-19 has made alcohol even more prominent and normalized. It has become very natural to see alcohol everywhere, especially in the media, Snapchat, TikTok, and other places teens go often. People don't see the risks when they are something like the image on the right or TikTok in the middle. Instead, they see it as just a cool trick or something that seems fun. The image on the bottom shows a suggested Halloween costume on Pinterest for girls to dress up as White Claw drinks. This further shows how these drinks have become prominent on social media. Easy access also makes these alcoholic beverages seen more often. Lots of people have alcoholic beverages or buy and sell drinks to friends. Also, advertising and deals make sure these drinks are seen even more often on a regular basis, especially online. Why do students drink alcohol? What parents say. Youth want nothing more than to find a sense of belonging, and many start drinking as the path to finally being accepted, said one parent.
Here are some testimonials from students that are currently attending schools in the South Bay area. I am the girl who went from being sweet and shy to a borderline alcoholic with a nicotine addiction. Alcohol is the only thing getting me through to each school day since online school started. I love school. I love alcohol. I love the way it burns my throat. I love the way it feels to be drunk. Happy things feel so heightened when I'm drunk. All of my depression and stress disappears. It's an effective escape. It's fun, and my parents do it, so why shouldn't I? Here are some additional quotes from teens. I like throwing parties, and my parents forget all the alcohol. It's really easy for me to get it because my parents don't really care. They know we are responsible with it. I drink to get rid of the stresses from school, work, and life. It makes me feel good, especially when I drink with my friends. As you can see, these are some of the examples as to how technology has affected the impact of the rising numbers of alcohol, as opposed to just the spread of words from students from their schools in their class, from their schools and their personal surroundings.
What are the effects of alcohol use? The following statistics are some effects of alcohol use. In a study of drinkers ages 12 through 17 years old, 31% of these underage drinkers experienced extreme levels of psychological distress, and 39% exhibited serious behavioral problems. Also, underage drinking can cause anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide, and psychosis when the teen becomes an adult. Frequent binge drinkers, nearly 1 million high school students nationwide, are more likely to engage in risky behaviors, including using other drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, etc., and may lead them to earn grades that are mostly D's and F's in school. Actually, in one study, 37% of 8th graders, females, who drank heavily reported attempting suicide, compared with 11% who did not drink. Each year, approximately 5,000 young people under the age of 21 die as a result of underage drinking. Of these, 1,900 deaths are from drunk driving. 1,600 are a result of homicides. 300 deaths are a result of suicide, and hundreds of other deaths are results of injuries, falls, burns, and drownings.
These are all anonymous testimonials from Beach City's teens about alcohol abuse. In all, the general consensus is that getting your hands on alcohol is pretty easy here. Middle schoolers have weed and alcohol on the pier, and nobody says or does anything. It's easy to get alcohol through older siblings and friends with a fake ID. And then parents are either oblivious or complicit. On the quote on the bottom right corner, halfway through a girls' night, the host pulled out several bottles of vodka and various beers, and the host's mom just watched them. When you're in middle school, especially, you don't really know the consequences of drinking. And then even upperclassmen are irresponsible with drinking and driving. This is why we need a greater push for education about the risks of alcohol. Here's another quote from a 12th grader. Well, here in the beach cities, you kind of get trapped in the culture of partying and drinking makes you ignore the risks of doing stupid things. I used to go to these kickbacks and stuff where the parents literally didn't care and weren't even at home, and they had like accessible hard liquor. The kid whose house we would normally drink at got sent away, even though I think it's mostly the parents' fault for giving him that access to alcohol instead of being there for him throughout whatever he was going through. They never even told him not to drink and be stupid, so it's kind of unfair, I feel like.
So why do students choose not to drink alcohol? I don't do it because I know that in the long run, I'm only harming myself. So I'd rather wait until I'm 21 or even older. I find alcohol to be extremely pointless. I don't think you need alcohol to have fun. I've watched it destroy my friends and family and don't see any appeal to it. While teens are under a lot of pressure and sometimes just want to hang out with friends or do something other than work, drinking does not need to be involved to have a good time. My parents are alcoholics and it sucks. I feel upset when they drink because their whole personality changes. My dad is an alcoholic. My dad is mean when he drinks. I never want to do that to my future children. My uncle is an alcoholic. His whole life is ruined. He's lost his job, been hospitalized multiple times, and bankrupted my grandparents with rehab expenses. He's completely shattered the family. I miss the old him, which would still be here if it weren't for his alcohol addiction. So what are some solutions to the problem? People tend to turn to substances as a way to alleviate their stress, which is now more present for us than usual. Youth in the beach cities deal with stress from academics and distance learning while being faced with the stress surrounding their personal home life as well. Also, due to COVID-19, some stress-relieving activities that we used to do, such as playing on sports teams or seeing our friends more frequently, are no longer available. In order to reduce stress, students should work to find a new hobby, like doing arts and crafts, cooking, playing video games, learning a new instrument, listening to music, or even trying to keep in touch with some school friends digitally. It is also important that parents now do not push for or expect unrealistic academic standards from their children.
So what can parents do to help? While parents ultimately can't control what their kids do, they can set a good example and get involved when it's necessary. One study showed that a 5% increase in adult binge drinking in a community was directly associated with a 12% increase in the chance of underage drinking. As parents, you can control your own alcohol consumption, setting a positive example. You can also be active by knowing where your child is and what they're doing, but having a balance and letting them be independent. So while you probably shouldn't constantly be texting your child when they go out to see if they're drinking alcohol or not, at least keep some tabs on them. You can also educate yourself and learn how alcohol can impact your teen's life. Parents can also look into therapy or counseling in case their teen is struggling with alcohol addiction. Treat alcohol use with compassion, just as you would with depression or anxiety, and avoid punishing your child. Some options are counselors specific to addiction who can provide resources and emotional support, or 15 to 20-minute therapy sessions. Reduce the stigma towards therapy and embrace it, because mental health isn't mental weakness.
Through our discussions, we believe social media and speaker panels are the most impactful way to reach out to teens. We need people to spread the message on social media that counteracts the regular consumption of alcohol. Spread messages about the dangers of substance abuse and use social media as a platform for helpful information rather than a way to advertise alcohol and alcohol consumption. Students have multiple stories about alcohol consumption, whether that be personally or seeing people doing it on platforms such as Snapchat or Instagram. Teens nowadays aren't peer pressured as much as previous generations, so it's important to find a way to reach out to them. Having a speaker the same generation as us would be the most impactful because they understand and can relate to what's going on. By sharing their experience, it could lead to teens confronting their problems and realizing alcohol consumption is not a joke. Students shared a variety of ways that they felt the community could address youth alcohol consumption. Some of these suggestions include ensuring liquor and drug stores aren't selling to underage kids and that they have stricter surveillance in places that do sell alcohol. There should be mandatory ID checks and they should require 2 forms of IDs when buying alcohol. Places could implement stricter state and countywide underage alcohol consumption laws. And finally, towns could regulate the number of alcohol outlets they have.
And that concludes our alcohol photo voice presentation. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Emery. I see that Alex has joined us.
Yes.
All right.
So I'd like to pass the mic over to Alex, and who can speak a little bit about some of the work we've been doing recently. Alex Jeffords is one of the members of our leadership team, and has been representing us in different spaces, even outside of our Youth Advisory Council, and he can even speak about some of the recent opportunities he's had.
All right. Well, welcome, Alex. Thanks for joining us here, and I guess we turn it over to you now. How about it?
Hi. Yeah. Sorry for my tardiness. Firstly, I want to apologize for being late, but my name is I'm Alex Jeffords. I am I've been on the Youth Advisory Council for 2 years. I am one of the public speaking and community engagement leads for the Youth Advisory Council, and I'm currently a junior at Miracosta High School. So more recently, what we've done recently we had a round table or a fishbowl with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, where we also shared the photo voice presentation that you guys just saw. And we also answered a couple of questions based around like where we think or why we think underage drinking has skyrocketed during the pandemic and stuff like that. We've also recently been part of the I think it's TUPE, TUPE Youth Leadership Conference that's run by I think it's LA Unified, where we spoke about different things. One of my friends on the council, Ronnie, gave a presentation on how to create a photo voice project. Me and one of my other friends, Sierra, did a presentation on returning to like a new normal and how to cope with that mentally and stuff like that, where we gave social anxiety tips on how to manage social anxiety when we return back in person for stuff like that. And more recently, our last goal for our last Youth Advisory Council meeting was to host peer-to-peer check-ins, where one of us would call 2 to 3 people that we knew and just ask them how they're dealing and coping during the youth advisory, during the pandemic, my bad. And that's some of the stuff that we've been doing more recently. As a whole, the Youth Advisory Council meets once a month during the school year. We focus on 2 topics: substance use in the beach cities as well as mental health. And so typically we do 1 to 2 photo voice projects a year. And we try to balance it out between mental health and alcohol use like this. So thank you for having me.
Quick question, Alex. Regarding the mental health month, this is mental health month or something. What is it? Is this month
Yes, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Okay, and are you guys doing anything for that?
So we have our peer-to-peer check-ins, like I said, where we're just kind of checking in with a couple of friends and stuff like that. I think we were pushing. Emery might have more like specific details, but I think we were pushing for a few goals surrounding like potentially a photo voice for during the summer and just gathering information now. But
okay.
If Emery wants to handle that question.
Real quick though, Alex, before you hand it over back to Emery, did you guys have some mental health videos that you guys did recently for? I recall a couple of years ago we had Youth Advisory Council talk to us about an activity that they did, a Mental Health Awareness Week, where they wore purple, and it's just to get the awareness, mental health awareness, I guess, spread the word out, and, make people aware of it. Did you guys do something like that this year?
I do not think so, just because this year has been a sort
pandemic
of
year.
We were trying to focus on, we were trying to focus on the ramifications of the pandemic.
Okay, and how's the cope? Have you guys seen any results with some of the stuff that you're doing, like to help kids cope with, like you said, anxiety and being home? Did you guys find anything out about that?
Actually, we had, as far as Sierra and I go, because we haven't had a chance to reconvene after that happened, but Sierra and I, we had a much bigger turnout than we expected, and we had shared our emails and stuff, and I think a week ago or something like that, to 1 or 2 of the students that went to our conference basically emailed us saying, thank you so much for these. I was having a really stressful test in person, and these strategies helped me calm down. So I think that the TUBE conference did help just the general public, yes.
Okay. Do you guys does anyone have questions for her at all on the commission? Anyone? No?
There are some hands raised.
Okay. Corey, you call them in order.
Commissioner Gray, do you have a question?
Yes, I was just wondering how all this information could be translated into actually telling kids at school, and how we could actually kind of spread the word about this more.
Is this for me to answer, or is this for general, like Emery?
Either general.
Well, I mean, I can answer on it. Okay. As far as, because I know, like, talking to students when you're a student can be hard and stuff like that, and it's easier to go through a principle. So, like what they said in the project, like little social cues where it's like, hey, maybe it's not all that cool to drink, or maybe you don't look so cool while doing it, or like maybe you're going to hurt yourself or others around you. But in terms of like the actual information, I think, and if we haven't, I can bring this up at the next meeting that we have, that we might have made a stat sheet that the schools got, but I don't know that for sure.
If you were to email me that, Alex, I can go ahead and forward that to all the commissioners. If you have like an information sheet, you can send me that information, and I can go ahead and forward that to the commissioners so that they can have a copy too.
I can ask around because I think
okay.
People that put together the photo voice should have one, but I can ask around.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Lee has a question.
Yeah, so this is from the video. So I know I talked about how it's been easier with like Postmates delivery, online deliveries to get alcohol. In terms of actual stores, are these the liquor store owners, are they willingly selling to underage people, or are they like being tricked, or are they just not looking super hard?
I think it's a combination of both not looking for ID, not like checking for every person for ID, and as well as like just not caring as much, because what a couple of people that I know at my school have seen have just been like walking into the store, grabbing alcohol and stuff. And sometimes the store clerks will ID them and sometimes they won't. So I think it's just unconstant vigilance and stuff like that. I don't think it's like they're willingly selling. I just think they're not checking.
So is there anything that you could do about the fact that they're just being kind of neglectful of the fact to check for ID?
We can definitely ask them that. We can ask them to check, although, you'll have different outcomes with that, because if they're like, oh, they're just asking, it's not really formal or anything like that. What you could also potentially do is petition your city council to ask them to like have some sort of mandate to have people that sell and distribute alcohol ID every time.
And the last one, real quick, are there any current enforcement measures in place, or are you saying we would have to petition city council per se because there's currently nothing in place?
That I do not know about, because I don't want to spread misinformation. I do not know that any laws in place for sure, because I haven't really checked all that much. But in the event that there's not, I would say definitely petition. In the event that there is, you might just want to reach out to your city council and say that they're not being enforced and stuff like that.
Okay, Corey, next.
Hi, so I have two questions. One is in relation to the video. There were a number of statistics brought up about like the prevalence of binge drinking among teens. And I just wanted to clarify, what's the definition of binge drinking you're working with?
Got it. So I think that the definition that we were working with for binge drinking was like the accumulation of drinking alcohol. So it's like taking a little sip and then saying, oh, that didn't really hurt me, let me have another one. And then, oh, that didn't really hurt me, and having another one until you started to, become alcohol dependent.
Okay. And for your program in general, what is your main form of like advertising the program and advertising the information that you guys spread?
Got it. Emery, do you want to take?
Well, I think prior to the pandemic, of course, before this world of Zoom became our everyday life, we were heavily on campus. There's a lot of face-to-face interactions with the campuses. Like I said, we work very intimately with all three school districts. But with the pandemic, a lot of things have changed. Everything's gone virtual. And so hence the photo voice presentation was our method to kind of spread this information about kind of like contextually what is going on in our own backyard, to bring awareness, not just to youth, but obviously, as you can see in the tone of the video, also to bring awareness to parents and their influence in this situation. The hope is that, once things get better with the pandemic, then we'll be able to have a stronger presence. And for example, there was so much information that was collected through the Photo Voice project. And by the way, I just needed to give some recognition to all of our youth advisory council. It was like a youth-led project, completely edited and driven by the youth. We had so much content that we said that maybe this summer, as part of our summer work group, we wanted to kind of take some information and then translate it into more creative avenues and maybe create flyers and posters and ad campaigns as a result of it. As you can see, the Photo Voice is more kind of statistical and anecdotal, but then we wanted to take some of the information that we had to kind of find other modalities that we can kind of spread the word and awareness about something that obviously is very prevalent in the beach cities and kind of tied with the beach cities culture, which has been recognized by our youth. Ideally, we would like to eventually see us continue to have more of a presence on campus. And why, obviously we see this kind of interwoven relationship between substance use and alcohol use and underage drinking and this topic that we want to focus on in May, which is like Mental Health Awareness Month, is because as you can see in the Photo Voice video, oftentimes, substances are being used as a coping mechanism. And so we want to try and find other ways and also create spaces. Now, what Alex also did mention is that this month, one of our main pushes was to create peer-to-peer wellness check-ins. This was actually a project that was derived from Beach City's other population. We served the entire lifespan. And when the pandemic broke, we realized that there was a lot of senior, elder populations that were lonely. They were trapped in their homes and there was a lack of connectivity, which I think all of us can agree on. And so much of our staff within community services ended up doing weekly calls, weekly check-ins with the senior population, just to check in, see if there's anything that was needed. And we saw like a really great response with that. And we said, you know what, why don't we do a spinoff, a derivative of this, and do it with our own youth? And so this kind of prompted the Youth Advisory Council or our youth services team to then create like a youth peer-to-peer version of it, because as we know, connectivity has been compromised to quite a severe degree. And so we thought that this would be a good way if we took 85 of our Youth Advisory Council members, and if we each called 2 to 3 people just to check in, just to see how they're doing, especially with some of these recent changes. I mean, vaccines are being released now, schools are reconvening, sports and extracurricular are reconvening. This has been a roller coaster of a year, and that is such an understatement that we thought there would be a good opportunity to use the circumstances and restrictions of being at home to then find a way to like still create connectivity in some fashion or form. And that's just through good old calling someone you knew. And imagine that 85 people, 2 to 3 people each, that's quite a significant ripple. And if we can all do that, and it's the idea of like encouraging the discussion of mental health, and it's not, as someone mentioned in the Photo Voice video, it's not a sign of weakness, right? It's just we want to create space and to kind of make it become a part of the dialogue. My background's in mental health. One thing that we do say, especially with some of the challenges in life, is that you have to kind of name it to tame it. And if we don't talk about these things, then we're not helping the cause, right? And so definitely with Mental Health Awareness Month being May, we wanted to kind of create an opportunity for our youth to kind of connect with other youth on this topic. Sorry, that was a very long answer to your short question. Hopefully that was, hopefully I answered your question.
All right, Corey, who's next?
Commissioner Oplatka.
Yes, thank you. I had a question regarding your video, the solutions you guys proposed. Have you, talking about like counseling, therapy, informational sessions, have you had any plans of actually implementing those, or are those more theoretical solutions? And one other question as a follow-up to that, I know in the middle school level, they have a sort of program where they go to the science classes and they talk about drug use and I believe mental health as well. Is there any consideration of implementing that into high school as well?
So much as a follow-up question, I don't know. I'm going to let Emery take that one too. But for the first one, some of the solutions are a little more intimate in terms of personal life and stuff like that. So we can't really do much on that because it's not, we can't force people to do that. So as far as I think you said information sessions go, we have had a ton of those, including the Mothers Against Drunk Driving presentation we did that I mentioned, on top of other things. I think we had a full BCHD coalition meeting where we presented this stuff, and then we sent that out to like different people. Like I think therapists got it, other I want to say social workers, but don't quote me on that, and other like community leaders got the Photo Voice Project to spread around to their groups that they run, and we have hosted informational sessions in the past as well for some of our different Photo Voice projects. Like last year we had some on the risks of vaping. This year was more pandemic oriented and stuff like that. But some of the more intimate solutions we can't really force. I don't want to say force, but we can't really help people with because it's more intimate and more personal. So far as this follow-up question goes, though, I'm going to let Emery take care of that one.
So in regards to kind of mental health, I mean, yes, the solutions that were suggested by our youth is, this idea of like, seeking and being okay, seeking mental health support. The Youth Advisory Council is one of 5 committees that kind of creates our coalition. And our coalition also is made up of mental health professionals, also parents. And so in terms of like getting the word out, that's kind of one of our main objectives as a district. So we're kind of like a public health agency, a district that specifically focuses on the Beach Cities population. And the Youth Advisory Council obviously represents a youth voice. And so one of the things that we did during the pandemic was we created a student well-being line. And this is for kind of parents in the school population. For any type of referral and information. Lately, I would say over the past year, a lot of it has been around COVID testing and vaccines. Some of you may have heard or maybe attend a school that you may have heard about our vaccine efforts that have been going on since, early March. I actually just came back from Inglewood High School, raced over here because we had a vaccine clinic there. We were vaccinating students 16 and up at Redondo Union High School just last week. And so that's been kind of the main focus, although of course COVID safety is one of them, but then we also have to talk about the mental health issues that have been tied to the pandemic. And so it's an ongoing conversation. Obviously mental health awareness, I hope, goes beyond the month of May, and it's something that we want to continue to campaign and discuss. We do have a network of mental health professionals that are part of our student mental health provider task force, which is also part of our planning in terms of our efforts. I think that we also want to try and see if there's ways that we can kind of pull resources to kind of have more presence in the school setting once that ends up being the case, where we can kind of have more regular attendance and interactions like before.
All right. Thank you. Corinne, who's next?
Commissioner Stover.
Thank you. My question kind of piggybacks on Commissioner Oplaka's question earlier. This is, I think, more directed to Emery about the communication piece and the solutions piece. In the video, the idea of social media and combating some of what young people see on social media was mentioned. And so I was just wondering if there's any plan in place, or if you're already using social media to communicate perhaps directly with more young people, or to leverage social media use in some way, or communicating with parents about, looking out for their teenagers and children's mental health, but also the alcohol piece as well.
It's funny you bring that up. I was just speaking with our communications department, so kind of like fight fire with fire in a sense. And this, obviously, social media is heavily used, and an opportunity for different types and qualities of messaging to be exposed to. And so we have had discussions about possibly taking on a summer project where we can kind of create our own kind of like maybe social media handle that will be kind of youth led. So it's almost like, okay, we see the more undesired messaging that's out there. There's no shortage of that. So we thought that maybe it could be a place where we can create more positive messaging. Like I said earlier, we do want to kind of take all the content that we've received in the pool that we were able to take away from the Alcohol Photo Voice project and see if we can kind of create projects that'll be more to help the creative side and use those as possibly content for posts, finding creative ways to create these statistics. I know, Alex, you were part of that Youth Advisory Council meeting where we had that kind of brainstorm of like, what could we think of some catchy slogans that might help to kind of promote, not drinking, and maybe other things that could be more desirable, positive alternatives to coping, given the fact that there is a strong presence of kind of alcohol use here in the Beach Cities. But I think that one thing I would say, especially from a management standpoint, that the Photo Voice project was so powerful is because it was youth driven and it was from the perspective of youth. So this is their truth, what they see. And I think that, for any adult that had the opportunity to see the Photo Voice video, whether it be local, politicians or even adults or even teaching staff or even mental health professionals, was like, we could say it all day, but then when you're hearing it from the youth's voice, from their perspective, that takes it to another level, right? And so obviously the issue is there, and we all know we live in the Beach Cities. This past year, we've had some unfortunate deaths in the community, and it went beyond just alcohol, right? And so it's something that we want to kind of bring awareness to. Right after we had one of our opioid deaths, in the community earlier this year, we worked to create opioid awareness video with some substance abuse agencies, with local law enforcement, with local mental health professionals, just because we need to kind of, again, you have to name it to tame it. If we continue to use silence to kind of address something, then you're going to get what you get, right? And so we wanted to kind of have an opportunity to bring awareness. If we don't, create these type of platforms to even talk about it, then we're going to be very far away from beginning the process of creating solutions. So we do hope. I actually was just talking about this idea of creating a social media campaign or space to kind of almost be the counter voice to some of the things that we know that are out there. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right, Corey.
Commissioner Gray.
This will be my last question. I was just wondering how we could implement more of a protection in more of public places like the Hermosa Pier and Redondo Beach, and just seeing how much there's usage, because mostly people just turn away and don't pay attention. Will we just try to commission to have more protection there, or what's your plan with that?
I mean, some of our members of our Beach Cities Coalition for Youth are local law enforcement. So, I mean, even just a comment like that, bringing awareness to kind of maybe even certain spaces where we see some of the activity happening, might be able to translate over to, more attention from law enforcement, maybe, even something that we know that exists, but also its implementation is something that's questioned, was just kind of social host ordinances, right? The laws about hosting within the home, right? We talked about our parents' roles and the adults' roles in facilitating this particular issue in certain circumstances, and so really kind of lobbying to see some changes with that. I know that of the 3 beach cities, I think I don't want to be misquoted, but I know that not all 3 beach cities have social host ordinances in place. So if we can kind of get a trifecta and we have that across the board, that would really send a strong message. And so one of the things that also I'm very proud to say that our Youth Advisory Council members do is that, at council meetings, oftentimes we've had them come represent and speak in front of the council members, because again, it's one thing to have an adult like myself or a professional standing up there, but it's another thing to have our youth voice standing up there, and really calling out what the problem may be. And so, I cannot emphasize enough, organizations like ourselves, groups like yours, the youth voice is so important. And not only, I don't want to, remind you again of how important you are in terms of being our future, but your voice actually speaks, louder than, I think we oftentimes give credit, and so I highly encourage, members of the Youth Commission, individuals like Alex and the other, youth advisory councils to kind of really find these spaces to kind of be able to speak up on some of the local issues. So then that way we can bring more attention to them, which then in turn, I believe, will translate over to kind of like maybe more policing or more awareness about these things, because no one sees it quite like youth do, so you know where this is happening, what, these type of activities or these concerns are. So, projects like the Photo Voice were really mind-blowing for a lot of these parents that maybe they kind of turn a blind eye, maybe they don't know about these things, but then it was very kind of powerful for the adults in the audience to kind of see, the kind of perspective from the youth.
All right. Well, I don't think we have any more questions. Emery, I want to thank you very much for joining us in our meeting tonight. Very informative. And I hope that our commissioners take a lot from this too. And thank you, Alex, for coming and talking with us too, and giving us an inside view from your perspective too, and all the stuff that you guys are doing. Really appreciate it. And I hope now with this year that it's been a crazy year, that we can move forward and maybe collaborate on something. If you need help with anything like that, with any projects, reach out to us, and I'm sure some of these guys would be happy to help out. And myself included. So thank you very much, Emery. Appreciate it. We'll be in touch soon.
Great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Corey, do you want to continue with our meeting?
Okay. J.2, Youth Commission applications and interviews. Staff recommends that the Youth Commission chair and vice chair accept and schedule interviews for new applicants.
So here I wanted to speak with you guys. I've been receiving applications. People have been emailing me about joining Youth Commission, so word is out. I'm going to email you guys the current application, and once I get, I guess the cutoff date is the 15th. I'm going to extend it out to the 20th, but in the meantime, I will forward those to you, Corey and Tyler, and with all the new applications and everything, if you guys would like to host the interviews and schedule the interviews and host them. So if that's something you guys would like to do, then that's something that, as a youth commission, that we need to make a motion and move forward with that, because we do have to take, in order to take action, we have to have a consensus. So if that's something you guys are interested in, to help out with the interviews and what have you, I guess that's the next step would be, I would forward the applications to Corey and Tyler, and they could schedule and have you guys get involved with the interview, and if that's something you guys would like to do.
Do you know as of right now how many new applicants?
I have three applications right now. I'm sure everyone. Like I said, I'll email you guys the applications, and as soon as we get them all back, we can move forward with this. Okay. So I don't know if you want to take a motion now, or if you want to table it for the next meeting, or what.
I have a quick question. Do we know how many spots are going to be open?
Well, if everyone's coming back, we should have. Well, is anyone graduating? Who's graduating this year? By show of hands, real quick.
I think it's just me.
Just you, Corey? Okay. Well, we'll definitely have 3 spots right now, Tyler. We'll have open, and then the rest can again just be like you guys. If we have any more than 12, we can go into an ad hoc committee that will still have, to join us in our meetings, but actually have an actual vote on things that we discuss and approve into action. We won't have an actual vote, but they can still participate. So, any other questions?
Tyler, please stop me if you want to table this for the next meeting, but I would be okay with just asking for a motion to hold those interviews now.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
Okay. Can I get a motion for the chair and vice chair to accept and schedule interviews for new applicants?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gray. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Second by Commissioner Schaefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Okay.
Member items and referrals to staff. Are there any member items and referrals to staff? Commissioner Lee?
Okay, two things. One, do we know what happened to that social host ordinance in Redondo? And two, when will we be able to have in-person meetings again? Because we're starting to move into that yellow tier. Plus, the schools are reopened.
Right. So that's something we just had a discussion about yesterday. The yellow tier. That's something I hope that we can get back in-person meetings soon. Again, that's something that's going to have to be approved by council for us to move, because our meetings that got put here on Zoom and every other month, that was a decision by council. So once they change the rules for that, I'm pretty sure that hopefully by next year we'll go ahead and have in-person meetings. And social host ordinance, I believe it did not pass here in the city. So when Emery was saying like, wish we had trifecta, I'm not sure, but I could definitely follow up and bring that information back to our next meeting. All right.
Was this the social host ordinance that we discussed, I think, last year about?
Right. We've been talking about it for like 5 years now. I think it's come up every year. And I don't know if city council is, yes, Andrew.
I just was wondering, how often does this body, I mean, my understanding is that we're supposed to be advisory to the city council. Is that correct, or is that incorrect?
Yeah. So whenever we make, so for example, if today we wanted to make a recommendation to council, we can definitely make a motion to send something to city council for them to take action.
And that would be true on really any topic germane to city government, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Something too, Andrew. I'm sorry, Commissioner Gammon. That if you would like to include something in on the agenda that you would like to discuss, we could definitely include that so we can actually discuss it and move forward and try to make a recommendation to council on.
No, I just was wanting a little clarity because it seems like a youth commission would be putting out lots of opinions.
Right.
Because I hear them a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. Usually we do send more stuff to council.
Okay. Thank you.
It's been a crazy year. All right, thanks. Anyone else? Okay, Corey, you can go ahead and move forward with adjournment, I think.
Adjournment. The next meeting of the Redondo Beach Youth Commission will be a regular meeting to be held at 6:30 p.m. on July 1st, 2021 in the Redondo Beach Council Chambers at 415 Diamond Street, Redondo Beach, California via teleconference. Do I need a
motion to adjourn? Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Vice Chair Lee. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.